Good morning. How are you all doing today?
Good.
I'm
Awesome.
so thrilled to have you guys here. This is pretty amazing, I have to tell you. After a extensive and somewhat controversial Kickstarter campaign, we actually got the funding to get this seminar for you folks, and we're a little stunned still, honestly. But I will tell you this, no matter how much trepidation you're feeling right now or how nervous you are about the next couple of days, there are at least 350 people who gave their own money out of their pockets to see you guys do this, to get this training, okay? There are people all over the world. One guy in Australia who decided to see you guys get this training, and we are really, really blessed with a lot of people that want to see you guys succeed. So I don't know how excited you are, but I have to tell you, we're pretty thrilled right now. As far as we know, no one's ever provided this kind of training before. So we are the Lady Coders. My name is Tarah Wheeler Van Black. This is Liz Dahlstrom, and this is Lorraine Sawicki. So Lorraine and Liz and I got together, in April and May of this year. And I don't know how many of you guys know the story about how we got together. So what happened was this. Last year at GeekGirlCon, I proposed and chaired a panel called A Career as a Lady Coder, and answered some questions and helped some folks out. Liz was actually sitting on that panel with me. I've known Liz for some time. She and I are actually tango dancers together. All manner of fun.
Not together.
No, not together.
I'm a terrible lead.
Me too, yeah. So Liz and I sat on this panel, answered a lot of questions, and we had a really great time doing it. And we could only find one other person. It was one of Liz's friends who is a programmer, or at least was at the University of Washington. She still is, okay. So we found one other human to do it with us, and we were really thrilled about it. And I did my own DVD and booklet over the course of last year to provide some training. It's just more kind of the skin deep stuff. So, and as I was doing so, I realized, dude, I should write a book or do something and increase the amount of training that's out there. So I go to GoDaddy and decide I'm going to register ladycoders.com. So I look back at my panel name and I look at it, and that's not supposed to be happening. I look back at my panel and decide to register ladycoders.com, and it turns out that some chick named Lorraine had registered it in Seattle already. And I'm like, who the hell is this that's not my name? I mean, who else is in Seattle that is a lady coder? So I emailed her and said, I don't suppose you know who I am or where you got this name, but it would be really, really awesome if we could talk and see if we could come to some kind of arrangement on this name. Maybe I've got some really cool names and we could trade maybe. And she said, well, all right, let's just have some coffee. So we sat down, and Lorraine and I went and had some coffee up at Third Place Books, I think, up in Ravenna. Yeah, absolutely. And about 10 minutes into the meeting, I pull out my phone and texted Liz. I'm like, Liz, I found us a new friend.
And I was like, is this it? I just have to be myself, and I finally found two other ladies who do the same thing.
Exactly. All three of us in Seattle. Well, now there are a lot more. So thanks to you folks. So that is how we met, and then we did the same panel again at GeekGirlCon this year, and we threw a Kickstarter to try to provide this training. There is a lot of education out there for women to get you folks computer science degrees. A lot of you people already are at Seattle Central, we know. And there's a lot of training out there to show women how to become coders. So a lot of, HackerRite Academy, Hacker School, all of these programs are out there to teach these women how to become coders for a living, but there's nobody out there that shows them how to go from that training to getting the job. So we're trying to bridge the gap to give you the soft information you need. It is no secret that this is a hugely male-dominated industry, okay? That's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, almost never is it a bad thing. The question is just, what are you gonna do about it? How do you project yourself? How do you show yourself to be a good fit for teams, to be a collegial team member, and show your skills off in such a way that you'll get the job? So we're going to show you how to do that over the next couple of days. When we do start splitting you apart in groups, we're going to ask that you do your absolute best not to be with people that you know already, okay? The purpose of this is to not just network, but to learn how to network, all right? We are all introverts. We're all nerds. I mean, there's probably not too many people in here who were the prom king and queen, right? I mean, we all started out because we have a passion, maybe an obsessive one, over things like solving puzzles and being able to create things for a living. And sometimes that means that we don't necessarily, we're not as outgoing maybe as popular American society would have us be sometimes. This is gonna kind of suck, but I'm gonna tell you, get over it. And the reason for that is when you are on the job, when you are getting hired, you don't get to say, I'm really not a people person. What you get to do is you get to put a smile on your face and work well with others, and that is how you get the job, all right? I like to say, we got challenged a lot during the Kickstarter because we were telling women you need to do something different than you're already doing. We got it from both sides, by the way. Oh, my Lord. And I'll tell you some of those stories here in a second. But I want to emphasize something. We're not telling any of you that you need to be different than you are. We're telling you that there's a set of skills that you need to be able to display upon command. Does that make more sense? We're not telling you to be extroverted. We're telling you to learn to work well in a team and display that to the people that you're going to be working with. Okay? All right, fair enough. When we did the Kickstarter, like I mentioned, we took a lot of flack from both sides. We didn't use polite words when describing it originally. We had folks that were upset with us for saying that women needed special training on how to get jobs. The men, I'm not going to call them gentlemen, though there were many gentlemen involved, the men that were talking on Reddit insisted that women didn't need special training to become developers. One guy, this is my favorite comment, it was one of the first AMAs that Liz and I did on Reddit. He said, if women wanted to be developers, they would just be developers. I mean, they don't need any special help.
That was actually acronyms.
Was it actually acronyms?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All right, we're not going to assume, but we're going to make them look bad.
We can't.
Okay.
They're nice people.
They're nice people? Okay, well, then they had one idiot commenter, which even we have idiot commenters sometimes. Okay, so one guy says if they wanted to be developers, they would just be developers. He says, man, when I was 5 or 6, you know, I started pulling apart my first computer. And, you know, when women get handed computers, they don't pull them apart. They don't do anything with them. You know, and I stopped him and said, dude, let me stop you right there. Your problem is that you're assuming that at the age of 5 or 6, women get handed computers. They don't. Mm-hmm. They get handed Barbie dolls, okay? So that's changing a great deal. To some extent, I am, how old am I now? I'm like 33 or something like that.
You don't know.
I don't pay attention. So I think I'm 33. Yeah, 33. How old are you ladies again?
I'm 35.
35, and what are you?
33.
33, okay. We are really the last generation probably of women that got handed Barbie dolls. Or at least that there was no...
One caveat, I was handed an electrical set when I was 6. So
I was handed a Tandy when I was 7.
Really? Wow. I don't think I touched a computer until I was 17, 18.
Has anybody here heard of Tandy?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, we had Nintendos and stuff like that, and I took apart the remote control, didn't put it back together again. So, we don't get handed electronics, or sometimes we don't get encouraged to use them. That's changing a lot. The young women that are growing up now are not going to be like us. We are the bridge, the gap generation that needs a little bit of help to get into the field. And let's tell you why to get into the field. Because it's lucrative, yo. This is the only career that I have ever seen that lets women be ambitious, well-paid, and flexible, all right? Women tend to want to do things like have kids. They tend to have to do things like care for family members, okay? We're gonna all have breaks and gaps in our work history that just don't happen for a lot of the guys, okay? I tell a story, and I told this story again and again to VPs of diversity and recruiting that talked to us during the Kickstarter and on Twitter. They said, how do I present this to my hiring managers as something that we need to do? And I said, let me tell you a story that I see playing out again and again and again. A hiring manager interviews 2 different candidates. He interviews Joe, he interviews Jane, and he hires Joe. The VP of diversity goes to him and says, why did you hire Joe over Jane even though they have the exact same set of qualifications and we're trying to get women into these positions. I mean, they have the same set of qualifications. They look like they've got the same set of skills. I'm looking at the resumes. And the hiring manager says, well, they did, but one of the reasons why Jane's work history was longer than Joe's is because she has these weird gaps in them. You know, she randomly took 2 years off here and didn't do any work. She dropped out of her job and there was nobody left to cover her. And when I asked her questions, She seemed really hesitant, you know, she didn't feel really confident in her skills. And, you know, Joe was a lot more confident in the way that he presented himself and the way that he brought across his skills. And I just felt like Jane was not somebody who was going to be able to handle this F-it, ship-it environment that we've got here. I mean, we're tough. I don't think we can handle somebody who's just not confident. So, and who could randomly drop out of her job at any time, given her previous history. So, of course, what's the real story here, right? This is a woman who is attempting to draw her hiring manager into the conversation, who's asking questions and trying to appear like she's a good team member instead of a good leader. Here's a woman who had a baby, right? And so she probably provided plenty of notice. It wasn't her fault that nobody got to cover that position after she left. But how does she handle that? Because guess what? It is her job to fix this problem. When you want to get a job, it is your job to look good. It's your job to have the holes in your resume covered. And that's one of the things we're going to show you how to do. All right. You know why you're here, all right? We're going to get you these jobs. One of the things that we need you to do is be willing to be open-minded, to understand that we're only going to have maybe 10 or 15 minutes to cover some of the major topics that we're going to hand you. Although we have got a lot of focus here on women getting jobs, about 96% of what we're going to say is going to be relevant to everybody, okay? The final session today is drinks. It's cocktail session. We're going to show you how to handle coworkers who've had a few too many. We're going to show you how to drink on the job. There's a handout I think I passed to Lorraine in a recent New York Times study that shows that people who don't go out with the guys don't get the promotions. You're not doing the networking you need to be doing. Sucks, but you need to do it. Being good at your job is not enough. And that's probably the final thing that I can tell you right now. Being good at your job is not enough to get you the next job. And we're going to show you what is enough to get you the next job.
Part of this is being able to speak in front of people because you do get the, I'm sorry, what's the appropriate name for the group interviews?
Technical interviews or the round robin?
Round robin, the one where you're sitting at a table with 5 or 6 other people. So please, when you do ask a question, stand up and be seen.
And speak. Part of this is learning to stand up, use your words, and use them loudly, all right? We're actually, and this is something I'm going to show you how to do in one of the public speaking sessions, I'm going to show you how to interrupt men. Women don't interrupt men. You're going to learn how to talk over the top of them and get them to shut up, all right? No, I'm deadly serious here.
I want to know this too.
I'm deadly serious here. This is a social skill that one of the guy who's going to come and do the Meet Your Interview session later on today with me, his name is Mike. And Mike is one of my best friends. I've known him for a long time. He's been my colleague, my boss, my employee. He and I have worked together again and again and again. And I interrupt the hell out of him all the time. I yell over the top of him, I cuss him out, it's awesome. Not while we're on the job. But this is a skill that you need to learn how to have, that you need to feel comfortable yelling over the top of people to get your point across.
Thank you to our Kickstarter backers, Michelle Thigpen, Annabelle Richard, Tech Liminal, and Adria Richards. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our Kickstarter backers. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you.